Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Monday, June 6th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Notre Dame game is in 90 days, the game against Michigan in 194 days. Week 2 of Ohio State's summer camp season starts today. Last week was supposed to be a relatively quiet one, and then the Buckeyes ended up offering a half dozen scholarships in a single day, and business might very well pick up again today. My guest today is Alex Gleitman. He is the host of the Around the Oval podcast. He's been tracking which players are expected to be in town for each of these camps this week, with a little help from our buddy Kevin Noon. Alex, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate Kevin because saved me a lot of work getting that list started this week. So glad he was able to help out with that.
Yeah, I saw people on the board wondering if Alex or Kevin was, horning in on Alex's territory. And it's like, no. I'm sure Alex appreciates this.
Please. Yes, no problem. Sharing is caring.
Exactly. This week, there are 2 days of camps. We will be sharing content with you from both of those, Monday and Tuesday. And we will end up talking about a little bit about both of those days today. Let's start with the guys who are going to be there today on Monday. So one of them is someone that we saw last week as well, that is defensive lineman Will Smith Jr. He's from Dublin, so it makes it a very easy trip down to campus. It seems like he is really trying to make the most of his opportunities to work with Larry Johnson this month.
Yeah, I mean, Will was obviously there last week, and he said, he was gonna come every single camp session this entire month or this entire summer, and it's actually it's crazy. I know Sonny Styles was down a bunch last year. Not every camp though, and obviously it's been similar. I know a bunch of the commits are coming up for Tuesday's camp, the 7th. It's really I'm trying to think back, and I can't remember a recruit who came to every single camp, and I think that just shows you how dedicated Will Smith Jr. is to improving his game. This isn't a let me come to camp and try to earn he's already committed to Ohio State. He does not have to work out. If anything, someone like that is risking. I mean, he obviously looked good last week, as you guys said, who were there. But if anything, you're risking injury. You're risking coaches seeing holes in your game and maybe second thinking their decision. No, he's coming to get work with Larry Johnson, who's his future position coach and who's one of the greatest to ever coach that position group of all time. And you just got to love that. He wants to get there. He wants to get work in. He wants to just get better and compete. And you got to love that in any kid. But then you take it that it's the late, great Will Smith's kid. And that just makes it even that much more better and impressive, in my opinion.
Yeah, when you see that kind of work ethic, it sort of explains Mark. I had not seen Will Smith in person before last week, so I didn't have a whole lot to compare it to. Mark had seen him a little while ago and kind of went, oh, like this. He's made some significant strides and has put on some really good weight and looked, maybe not a completely different player, but very noticeable improvement. That work ethic is probably a significant part of that improvement. Who else, of the other guys who are on the list for Monday, who else jumps out to you as someone to really keep an eye on Monday in terms of other prospects who are at the camp?
Yeah, the biggest name, I think, who I would watch when you're there is Nigel Smith, defensive end, 2024 class from Texas. I think this is his third visit on his own dime to Ohio State. So he was at a game in the fall. He came out for the spring game, I think, or a spring visit. I forget what weekend it was exactly. But now he's coming to camp to get some work in with Larry Johnson. I actually also got to see him at Rutgers last year. He was at the Rutgers-Ohio State game. So he's actually seen Ohio State quite a bit in the last, whatever it's been, 8 months or something like that. This kid is a really impressive player. You talk about those premium positions in college football or any football really, outside of quarterback. And then on the offensive side of the ball, the left tackle, you're talking about defensive end and guys who could get after the quarterback. And so Nigel Smith, a guy who does it in Texas, one of the best football states in the country, that's definitely someone to watch. So he'd probably be number one on my list. There's a few younger guys. I know tight end Luca Puccinelli. I think he's from the Virginia area, if I'm not mistaken. He was out for a spring visit or a junior day earlier this year. He's someone who has a few Power 5 offers already. So he's definitely one to watch too. And as I said, there's a few 2025 guys, but Nigel Smith would probably be the one headliner on Monday, I would say. outside of Will Smith. But, just like last week, there's probably going to be some surprises.
Yeah, that's always the fun part of this is you go in with a list of players and then you get the who's that? Oh, who's that? And all of a sudden the list is a lot longer than it was when you walked in the gates to start the day. Tuesday, we've got quite a long list already because there are 5 commits expected to be there, including, of course, the free space on the bingo card, Will Smith, who's going to be there pretty much always, but also the 3 offensive line commits, plus tight end commit Ty Lockwood. How big is it to have all of those guys on campus together at the same time, not just in terms of bonding as a group, bonding as a recruiting class, but also potentially maybe doing some recruiting with some of the other guys who might be there that day?
Yeah, I mean it's huge. I think when you're a recruit and you're uncommitted, and again you look at that list and outside of those 5 guys, there's not really a ton of names right now, but if they're coming that day, it's probably for a reason. There's probably going to be someone there, and I just think that if you a big part of recruiting is comfort in relationships, and Bill Green taught me that. I mean, those are before NIL, those are the 2 most important things for sure in recruiting is comfort and relationships. And when you talk about comfort and relationships, it's not just with the coaches, the players currently on the team, the university, the program's values, like all those things are important, but the guys who you're coming in with, I mean, you're not going to be best friends with all of them, but to have the relationships with them, to have the comfort that you're going to be going to battle with these guys every single day for the next, 3 to 5 years, all working toward that same goal. And those guys are a level of character, personality, the effort, what their goals are the same as yours, and getting to know them at an environment like, a visit to Ohio State, well before you even step on campus. I just think that that's definitely a big part of it. It's not going to necessarily make someone's decision, but I think it kind of almost be a tiebreaker or just make someone feel that much more comfortable with a school if they're on the fence, maybe between a couple different schools.
Well, those are kind of the 5 biggest names, I guess, for Tuesday, but there are other notable names on your list as well. A lot of them were in the class of 2025, so just kind of wrapping up their freshman years of high school. So there's still a long way to go with all of those guys, but it will be probably our first chance to see many of them. So is there anyone on that list that kind of jumps out to you as someone we should be keeping an eye on?
I would just say DJ Pickett, the safety from Florida, Zephyr Hills, Florida. I think it's the Tampa area, similar to where they've done a good job recruiting down there. Tony Alford has really been all over that area. I think he's on that Team Tampa team that a couple Bryson Rogers and Dijon Johnson are on that team that they have in this year's committed class. But I mean, Jake Cook is an offensive lineman from Westerville that that has, he might even have a MAC offer already. So he's definitely someone, especially that young, you want to keep an eye on. Emery Winston, kind of this tight end, defensive end, jumbo athlete from Georgia, will be there. So I would say those 3 kids are the ones that I would keep a close eye on. But I have to imagine with 5 commits there's got to be someone we don't know about that that they kind of organized, coming down that day versus Monday or, the weekend where there's going to be official visitors. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see what other names pop up because there's no way we saw this last week. I mean, we had a list of however many names and we probably added double that, that morning as we started to see the tweets come in and you guys saw some people on the ground and things of that nature.
Yeah, you said DJ Pickett is from Zephyr Hills, Florida, which old-time Ohio State fans will immediately think, wasn't Ryan Pickett from Zephyr Hills, Florida? Yes, he was. He is not the father of DJ Pickett. I think it looks like he might be an uncle doing some fast Googling. But yes, if you are not crazy if you were thinking, wasn't there another Pickett from Zephyr Hills, Florida that played at Ohio State? Yes, that would be Ryan Pickett. So we'll have to ask DJ. I think he may be related in some way, but we'll figure that out this week. Angela McCullum is another name that you had mentioned as someone who is kind of note. We saw him last week. He's an Olentangy kid just north of Columbus. He is on the West Coast right now as we're talking, but potentially back at Ohio State later this week. So where is Angela McCullum right now? And then what does that tell you if he's potentially coming back to Ohio State camp for the second time in a week.
Yeah, I mean, look, I spoke to the kid after camp last week, and there's no doubt that Ohio, growing up in where he lives in the Columbus suburbs, I mean, Ohio State's the offer he wants. You never know. Maybe he goes somewhere else that he feels is just a better fit for him, but he definitely wants that offer really badly. And actually, he at camp last week, he missed a lot of the drill work because he was dealing with some dehydration issues. And then he hopped back in for the competition part. He said he felt like he did pretty well, and I know you guys reported that he did pretty well, but he just felt like he wasn't at 100%. So he's actually at USC. He flew into California yesterday, or this was on, I guess, Saturday night. He got into California to do a camp on Sunday, and then he was flying back to Columbus on Monday. And depending on how late he got back, how he felt physically, things like that, I think the plan is to show up at camp on Tuesday, June 7th. And if he feels like he can compete at 100%, I think not that he's expecting an offer necessarily this early, but obviously if he could get one like some of his other 2024 classmates in state did last week, I think that's obviously the goal for him. So he wants to come back. He wants to get more work in with Larry Johnson since he missed about half the camp. But I think he also wants to show Ohio State what he's capable of at 100%.
And so that kind of covers our Monday and Tuesday camps. But it sounds like there could be some other pretty significant names coming to Columbus a little later on in the week on either official or unofficial visits. Who are some names that people should kind of be keeping an eye on later in the week in terms of visits?
Yeah, and we'll definitely update this, but I think there's four official visits that I have written down. I might have been missing one or two, but they're hosting a tight end, Riley Williams, out of Oregon, and that was a little bit of a surprise to me. They've had him on campus before. He's always spoken highly of Ohio State, just from Oregon, a high recruit. Hadn't really heard a ton about him, but I know Ohio State, I think, ideally would love to take a second tight end in the class, and so him coming and visiting is definitely a big deal. Defensive lineman Mateo Ugalele from St. John Bosco in California, younger brother of Clemson starting quarterback for now, DJ Ugalele. So that's a big-time official visit. I think Ohio State's battling Alabama, USC, and Oregon for his signature. They'll have a linebacker out of Texas, Darian Goulet. I'm not sure he ends up at Ohio State, but they're going to take their best crack this week and see how that one goes. And then I think a kid that they do have a good shot at is defensive back Daniel Harris out of Gulliver Prep in Miami. He's definitely a big time player, a guy that they want. He's not a South Florida Express guy, so Bank won't have the full inside track on him, but I'm sure Bank will actually be able to. He knows plenty of guys down there, and they all have connections, so he'll probably get the best pulse out of anyone on that one. But yeah, we'll definitely try to catch up with Daniel and the others after their official visits this weekend.
All right, should be a fun week at the Woody. We are looking forward to being back there. Mark and Kevin and I are all planning to be there Monday and Tuesday. Should be another fun week. Plenty of news, plenty of new photos and videos and new scouting reports and interviews and all that good stuff. Should be a really fun week of coverage out there. So we're looking forward to all that. You can also make sure you check out Alex's podcast, Around the Oval. He has a ton of great guests on recruits, other reporters, lots of previews of other teams. So your Notre Dame preview about a week or two ago, you beat me to the Notre Dame preview. I'm a little annoyed at that. That's all right. We'll get a Notre Dame preview on here at some point too.
My focus was a little more recruiting versus the actual game, so you'll have plenty to talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to guess we will talk about that Notre Dame game once or twice in the next 89 or 90 days or so before it happens. So that should be fun. And Tony and I will do Buckeye Weekly this week. Kevin Noon will have I'm sure a Big Meat Kickoff. Mark Givler and Build a Bank Green do Gives in the Bank. All those great podcasts, you can find them wherever you find this. Just search Buckeye Scoop to find all of those. You can subscribe right there and also leave us a 5-star rating and review, which will help other folks find those shows. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.